There are virtually an infinite number of ways to structure a song, but have you thought about how to structure a song so you can hack the Spotify algorithm and massively explode your streams? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the key elements you want to include, and you also want to be sure to avoid if you want to hack the Spotify algorithm and maximize your streams. Hi, I'm Reagan Ram with Orpheus Audio Academy, and I recently interviewed a massively successful independent artist. His name is Nico Gend, also known as Gend Beats, and he has over 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify as of the recording of this video. And he talked about the keys to how he achieved this success. And a big part of it is actually how he structures his songs. He goes into much more detail about this in his book, The Independent Artist Blueprint. You can actually get 10% off this book when you use my code Reagan10 at checkout. So if you want to grab this book, just click in the description below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Gend, Gend. But what are we talking about when it comes to structuring your songs so you get more streams? First, let's look at the things you definitely do want to do. And probably number one is writing shorter songs. And this might be uncomfortable or difficult to hear because especially I know myself when I first started writing, like all my songs were like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, because I like to just, I wrote something I really liked and I wanted to hear more of it. And I wanted to hear it in different ways with different elements added or taken away. And then my songs just became entirely too long. So I know it's hard, but maybe look at making your songs like 10% shorter than your initial preference. And the data bears this out. Here's a graph of the share of the Billboard Hot 100 songs that are 2.5 minutes or less. You can see it was decently small percentage. And then starting around 2015, it really started to skyrocket. If you think about it, this is great for streaming as well, because I feel like when you write a song that's shorter, you're kind of leaving the listener hanging a little bit. They're not fully satisfied. You don't want to write a song that's frustratingly unsatisfying. You still want it to be satisfying enough that they're not like, ew, but you want them to be left like, oh, I got to hear that again. It wasn't enough. So they go and they restream it and they play it over and over and over. And that's why you can get multiple streams per listener, which Spotify loves, the algorithm loves, and that's really going to boost your song and get it out there and distribute it to more people and get you more streams and more revenue. So think about writing those shorter songs, number one. And speaking of being promoted in the Spotify algorithm, a huge thing that can really help you with this is getting your music onto more playlists. Even if they don't have a lot of followers, just getting playlist ads is huge for the algorithm. And one of the easiest and best ways to do this is by getting onto user-generated playlists. And I have a free guide that walks you through how to do this step by step. So if you want to grab that, click in the description below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Spotify playlists. And you can use this guide to get your music on tons and tons of Spotify playlists. So let's get to the second do that you definitely want to have, and that is a catchy hook or chorus. I know it probably seems a little obvious, but definitely something you don't want to overlook or ignore. And what exactly makes it catchy? Well, you want them to really kind of recognize the song's title in the chorus. You want it to be something that's easy. Typically, you actually want a simpler melody with a phrase or words that are easy to sing and that stick in someone's head. So that's something you want to think about and include the title of the song in the chorus if possible. So you want a really simple, hummable melody that often resonates more than a complex one. So kind of avoid complexity when it comes to writing your melodies. At least, especially in your choruses, right? I kind of feel like your verses, you can freestyle a little bit more, try out different things. Maybe you can go a little bit more complex, but then when you get to that chorus, you want it really to drive it home and be a really kind of simple approach that really sticks in people's heads. And then you can incorporate also, to make it even more catchy, you incorporate that melody into other elements such as the bass line or the vocals or the other lead instruments. For example, the bass line in Seven Nation Army, right? This is so popular now, like crowds at sporting events, this will be played over the loudspeakers and the crowd will all be able to go play, hum, yell, shout along with it because it's so easy and memorable. The third do is to have relatable lyrics, and oftentimes, the simpler, again, the better. Right? You'll be able to connect with a wider audience if you're using universal themes and emotions. In fact, Nico's best performing song, the entire lyrics are just, quote, I see you, unquote, and, quote, we said forever, unquote. So those are really very simple lyrics that are both broad, but also vague. So it can have many different meanings to many different people. Our do number 4 is to stick to common song structures, such as the verse chorus structure. Don't go too complicated with your song structures. And finally, keep a short intro and a short outro, right? Get into the song and out of the song quickly. Don't let these drag on, because then people are likely to skip away and ignore those parts, right? Anything, ruthlessly seek to eliminate anything that could be considered boring in your song. Now, speaking of helping you create songs that generate tons of streams, I highly recommend Lander Studio. It's kind of like having Splice, DistroKid, and a whole bunch of other plugins all wrapped up into one, but better. So you can see here, you get tons of samples to help you create and finish those tracks you're working on. Tons of awesome plugins here by a lot of really great third-party companies, and Lander itself has some really cool ones here, which I reviewed on the channel, including Lander Composer, which can actually help you generate ideas for your songs, collaboration tools, mastering tools, of course, distribution, and also courses, all to help you. So this is really awesome. And you can actually get 20% off your first year subscription when you go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Lander. This is what I use and love, and they also, a big thank you to them for sponsoring this video. This brings us to the don'ts. So definitely kind of the flip side of this is don't have long intros and outros. Don't write over complex songs. Don't write overly complex melodies. Avoid having really long breaks where it's close to silence. And again, avoid having those long songs that are over 4 minutes. Try to keep everything between 2 and 3 minutes. And again, this is just for maximizing your streaming potential, right? Maybe that's not your goal. If that's not your goal with your song, and your goal is just to make a really fun ballad type song that's maybe a little slower, a little longer, that's totally fine as well. And that could still work and get streams as well. I could fit on other certain playlists that are more ambient and so forth. So this is by no means a hard and fast rule, but these are just some good guidelines if you're really seeking to maximize your stream. So maybe right in your release strategy, you include a couple songs that follow these rules. They can really maximize your streams and also open up people to your larger catalog. So if you want to know more about this and how you can release music frequently and actually build a fan base and go full time with your music, then I highly recommend you grab Nico's book, The Independent Artist Blueprint. Click in the description below, go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Jend, and just be sure to use my code Reagan10 at checkout so you can get 10% off. With that said, be sure to click the box on the screen now, as that will take you to a full interview I did with Nico, where he goes into more detail on how he can create and finish so much awesome music and release frequently every 4 to 6 weeks, which really helps him boost his music career. So go check that out, and I'll see you over there.